Shortly after I became a Christian, I had the opportunity to pray with someone to accept Christ. This came as a great shock to me. I've told you the story before. I was only a couple of weeks old, maybe 3 weeks old in my faith, and I went out on the beach in Newport, armed with a copy of the Four Spiritual Laws, and basically read it verbatim to some lady there, and she prayed and accepted the Lord. And I was feeling, hey, I'm pretty good. You know, Billy Graham, move over. There's a new kid in town, and I was full of zeal and excitement and wanted to reach lost people. Well, anyway, I had a bunch of buddies I used to hang around with before I was a Christian, and after I accepted the Lord, I remember telling them, guys, don't worry about me. I'm not going to go off the deep end. I know you've seen other people become Jesus freaks, and they carry Bibles around and say stuff like, praise the Lord. That will never happen to Greg Laurie. I said, you will never hear me say, praise the Lord. I will never publicly carry a Bible or wear like a cross around my neck. I'm not going to be that way. So a few weeks go by, and after I'd led this lady to the Lord, I'm walking down the street, and who comes walking toward me but one of my old friends, also named Greg. Greg and I spent a lot of years in elementary school together. We knew each other very well. He looked at me and I looked at him, and we both broke out laughing. Why? Because in my hand was a Bible in public. Hanging around my neck was a cross, a little bit too big, I might add. And before I could catch myself, I said, praise the Lord. That's why we laughed. And I said, Greg, I know this is so crazy. Here I am. You've known me all these years, and now here I am doing this. But I have to tell you that God has really changed my life. And so we started a conversation, and I began to share with Greg some of the things that the Lord had been doing in me and how things had changed for me. And there's this guy who was eavesdropping on our conversation. I didn't even really notice him, but he walks right in, interrupts me, and turns to me and says, hey, Christian, I have a few questions for you. I look at him like, I've known the Lord for 4 weeks, fire away. And he hit me with like 4 or 5 questions. I don't even recall what they were now. All I know is I was dumbfounded. Where's Dinesh D'Souza when you need him? And he was great last week too, wasn't he, by the way? Really, really good. Appreciate Dinesh. Well, Dinesh was not there, nor was Ravi Zacharias or Josh McDowell or anybody else with answers that I needed. I was dumbfounded, and I thought, I need to start getting ready for this kind of thing because I need to know what answers are to questions that people ask. Now, I don't claim to have all the answers, but I believe that there are answers for many of the questions that people will bring before us. And we pointed out to you that as Christians, we are to give an answer to every man who asks us, according to 1 Peter 3:15. And you remember that phrase, giving to every man an answer, is from the Greek word apologia, where we get our English word apologetic. It means a legal defense is in a court of law. So it's sort of like you're making your case in the courtroom of public opinion with a person who is listening to you. But keep this in mind. In this courtroom, so-called, you are not there as a prosecuting attorney, but a witness. See, a prosecuting attorney is going to win. He might even be wrong, but he's still going to win. A witness just says what they've seen. And sometimes I've seen Christians, armed with all the information they can get, assault non-believers and effectively blow them out of the water. Yeah, I'd smoke that person. Yeah, they don't ever want to hear about this again. You won the argument, but you lost the soul. And that's not the objective. When we go to a person, even though we may know a great deal, more than they know, we should present this information with love and grace and humility.